Okay, guys, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching doing a trade review. Actually, we're going back to the future, so to speak, and looking at August 2011. Okay, so first of all, for the longs, today sucked. I took multiple stops, hit my max stop out despite my chart being and my chart work being pretty damn good. So I want to go back and look at when the last time this happened. And so if I go back and look at August 2011, okay, which was horrendous. This is August 2011 right in here. And you see just prior to that, let's look at the character of how the day went day by day. So first of all, you can see, I want to pull this in so everyone can see how severe a decline this was. This was a fall off of a freaking mountain cliff. It was just straight down. So the first question, I want to try to get some idea of where I was in this cycle so I can compare and take notes and be prepared for what may happen this time. So and notice this wasn't the high here, okay? So let's call the jumping off point this gap down right here, right? Closing at the low of the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days till we got to a tradable true bottom, right? Where we made a significant rotation. Of those 12 days down in that period of time, the first question I have is how many closed at the low of the day? So let's go back and look again. I believe I use this as my jumping off point, right? So of these days, notice, here we're going to spread this out a little bit and count it down again. No close at the low of the day, right? Here's the low. We came close, but we didn't close at the low. Next day we closed in balance. Next day we closed at the low, right? And each of these days, let's just call them if it was anywhere close to low, we'll call it a close on the low. So 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Yes. 5. No. 6. No. 7. No. No. I think we're already bouncing. So 7 of the 12 days, right, closed on the low of the day. So a couple of things that strike me really interesting in this. So the next question I have is, well, what did the price action? I'm more concerned with. So the next thing we got to figure out is, are we down here, right? Are we down, is it this day right here, right before we're about to get this? Or are we over here? I don't know. I'm going to have to go and do some thinking about it to figure it out. But what I want to know is, it sure looks damn similar to this. We gap down. Well, let's see what the bottom of the range was over here. Hold on a second here. Let's go see where support was prior. Okay, so here's support. Just call that support. Now let's look. Look, okay. We broke support. So here's where it got ugly, right? We came down to support. I'm going to show you. Let's look at this right here because I think we're looking something like this. Because if you look at our volume profile right now, where are we? So this is the 24-hour volume profile, right? Let's look at this real quick so we can get a bearing on what we have going on. If we take our bearing, this essentially was support, right? This was the outlier. This was during the, guys, what was this? Was this Greece over here? I think this was Greece, right? So this is essentially 1886 to 1898 has been support. Looks awfully similar to this, right? Which was the support prior to, right? And how did we open that day? So let's go look at that series of days. So if we look on this particular day where we broke, we gapped down, kind of similar to today, but within range, and we ended up with true trend day down, where we ended up closing on the low of the day, right? I don't know if we're going to close on the low of the day today, but that's what we ended up having. Okay, so I want to know a couple things. What does it look like in the morning? What was the size of the rotations in here? And can I compare that so I have a bearing for tomorrow? So first of all, what was the range here? Because this was a damn ugly day. High, 1165. Low, which we closed just off of, was 1132. 30 points worth of range, but that was almost half of what the index is now. So we're at 1800 and we're down 50 points. So kind of sort of similar. Next day we open up, right? We open flat. We attempt to make a push to the upside. We rotate lower, right? A couple of things. First of all, what was the size of the rotation down? 1839. Low was 1116. So let's see, that's 40 to 16, 22 points of rotation lower the following day, right? Next thing I want to know, what did the 50-60 look like on the way back up? Because obviously we were getting pretty horrendously slammed there, right? So if you look, we open lower, we open drive lower, it looks like a continuation. We make a 50-60 retrace, right? Now notice this, on the 50-60 retrace, there's two 50-60 retraces, right? We come up, we get an overcommitment at the lows, right? This is a pretty big reversal bar. We were trying for that earlier in the afternoon, right? Didn't work. So this, remember, this is years ago. And these are 15-minute bars. We come back through, and I'm going to highlight this so everyone can see this clearly. So the first thing that I noticed is from the last swing, from the prior day's swing high to the swing low, did we get a 50-60? Well, lo and behold, look where the market worked its way back to by the end of the day. Right back to the 50-60 from the prior day's high to today's low. That ended up being the midpoint. If you'll also notice, so that we keep some bearing about us for tomorrow, guys, we had a 50 retrace off the low. And from that significant rotation, right, notice that all day long we could not get a significant rotation. This right here, this move right in here marks the biggest rotation up. And it was a rotation from 1116 all the way to 1132. Now, most people would go, I missed the move off the low. Not me. And not only that, I don't want to be the one shorting here. What I want to be is on the opposite side of this 50-60, just like we tried this afternoon. I want to be on the backside test of this 50-60 for a move back to the upside. If you took this 50-60 at 1125, we closed out the day at 1140. That was a 50-60 retrace. Next day, so that's the first clue that might give us an idea of what to do for tomorrow. So, what are we looking for tomorrow from that concept? First of all, I'm looking to see if I open flat or even negative and I get a big drive down. And then I want to go measure today's largest rotation up, right? Because this rotation is roughly double the biggest rotation up from the prior day. So I know most of today's rotations were 7 points. If I get a 15-point rotation tomorrow, I want to draw a 50-60 and be ready to be long off of that 50-60. Might not happen, but I want to look for it, right? Next, let's continue to work our way through here and see what happened. But starting here, I'm going to go to a 5-minute chart. So what I'm going to do, because this is where it started to get really ugly. How much time do I have left? Plenty. So from here, I'm going to take a 5-minute bar, compact this all up, there we are. Look at the bigger picture of that real quick, just to give you an idea. Where was it? I lost it. Let's try it again. Come out, wherever you are. It's in August. How's that possible? That's how it's possible. I had it highlighted. Okay, so if we go back to August 5th, there we are. 5-minute bars, spread it out. Okay. Next day, gap down, right? Delayed open drive lower. You want to have that in your notes, right? Gap down, broke prior day's low. This now becomes right here your trap point from the prior day. So we're going to change that. Not this, but this. This is the trap point, okay? Try to trade below 2 times, try to hold, failed, right? We rotate lower. Again, first question, what does the 50-60 look like? We're unable to get a 50-60 retrace. It was an open drive from the get-go. You know to stand out of the way. Next, 50-60 back up. Worked perfectly. See that? 50-60, and as a matter of fact, it was a series of 50-60s. If you look through here, all the way down, that lets you know we were in trend day down again. And then the larger 50-60 held for a great place to get short in the middle of the day. Hopefully there was tick divergence there. And then we closed on the low of the day. The key to that, notice, again, the rotation sizes were constantly bigger to the downside than they were to the upside. And again, if you try to get this 50-60 long right here, which we might have tried to do, right? Notice New York lunch, pretty tough. But if you took that 50-60, and again, we didn't get that this afternoon, notice that you traded into roughly 11.05 and you rotated up to 11.10. It was still good for a trade back to the upside before its continuation lower. It was key to get above this 50-60 to push above and then into the gap, right? Obviously, another day down. Next day we come in. Notice on the next day that we came in, and I'm going to have to stop this in a minute and do a part 2 because the video is going to run out. I forgot to log in. I'll do that in a second. So next day we walk in, right? Notice that I'm going to get rid of all these 50-60s. And I'm just taking you through each day. Why? I want to know how to attack this thing tomorrow, right? So if I can identify at least what the PA looked like in the past, I have a pretty good idea of what to do today, what to do tomorrow. So I come in, I look, and from, notice, swing low, we don't get back even to the 50-60 from prior day. We move down. Notice that this is not the 50-60 because we had to move to a new low before getting it. Notice that that 50-60 actually comes off of here, right? And notice we bolted back to the upside, right? See the reversal at 11 o'clock? Huge reversal, and there is no 50-60 at this point, right? If you look at this, this is just too many people getting short on an extension. There was no point at which you could have gotten a 50-60 to get back into this thing except right at the end of the day when we traded into the 50-60. But if you were patient, you did get a trade right about 145 that gave you a push from 1073 all the way up to 1083, right? So it is doable. It's not unheard of that the 50-60 still gave us an entry, and it gave us an entry both short and long, right? If you look at this here, first time into the backside test of the 50-60, it rotated from roughly 1075, 1076, all the way back down to 1067. That's a 7-point trade, guys. So the first thing that I'm learning from this environment that I can carry into tomorrow and in today is, hey, where are the 50-60s? It looks like the 50-60s should start to give me pretty decent trade the first time in, right? So that's a pretty valuable piece of information just to start with. So I'm going to stop this and I'm going to go do a part 2. Give me 1 second. This will be part 1.